rabbit could not advance. So having the dog on h4 is very nice for gold. And silver doesn't seem to have an easy continuation on move 30s. So I think silver missed a couple of opportunities to make strong capture threats, and now silver was actually unable to retrieve the cat. The cat on e4 was frozen and would have remained frozen no matter what. It was just totally impossible to withdraw the cat, and so actually Fritzlein might have some threats, some material threats against this center cat, pulling the cat towards c3. That looks like definitely an option for gold on move 31g. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting option to threaten the cat. Silver is certainly still looking at maybe pushing into e3 with the second horse if gold's camel moves away, but it's very unlikely that gold's camel is going to move away from the center. I think gold is very happy to have his camel either on d3 or on e3, and so silver is trying to engineer a horse hostage around f6, but that looks a bit slow. He did lose some time in establishing a threat, and that gives gold quite some time to threaten a cat or to reinforce control over f3, maybe advancing the cat to f4 and then following with a dog and a camel into f3 and e3. Maybe that's another option for gold on move 31g, to try to get some kind of stronger control around the f3 trap. So one rather bad thing for silver is that silver cannot push into e3 easily. The only way for silver to push into e3 would be with his elephant, would be to first pull the f3 cat into f2 and then push into e3 with his own elephant, but that would be losing some time, and that's due to the silver cat being on e4 and making some kind of phalanx for gold on e3. So maybe gold might be thinking of leaving this silver cat on e4 for the moment, instead of threatening a cat capture on c3. I think both options are possible. And so on move 21g, Fritzlein decides to push into the e5 square with his own camel. That's rather interesting. I think the idea is that the e-file is quite crowded with a silver cat and a gold dog. So on move 21s, we are looking at probably silver pushing into the e3 square with his elephant and threatening to move around the center to threaten this gold camel. But the gold camel seems to be able to reach the g4 square in the future. So for instance, okay, so Tuks is doing basically that, pushing into e3 and advancing a rabbit into b6 on move 31s. The problem is that the gold camel is able to move around the gold elephant, and the gold camel can reach g4 on move 32g. So with the gold camel on g4, the silver horse on g3 is strongly threatened. So it seems like Fritzlein has managed to get control back over the f3 trap. I was very pessimistic for gold to achieve that actually 3 or 4 moves ago. but he managed to do that. I think that was a very nice maneuver to advance the camel all the way to e5, eyeing for the g4 square. So very strong couple moves by Fritzlein here, and re-establishing control over f3 is absolutely key. And so the possible horse hostage that Silver would get around f6 does not look very strong at all now, because Gold regains some kind of space control, of space advantage and trap control in the east. And so even if Silver establishes a hostage on move 32s by pulling the Gold horse into g7, for example, then Gold's elephant would be able to move to f5, because Gold needs only 3 steps to hostage the Silver horse into the g2 square on the next move, and that would leave 1 step for the Gold elephant to move to f5, and then actually the Silver camel would be kind of threatened. Gold might envision pulling the camel to g5 next, and so the Gold horse hostage would not be so great for Silver. I think the position has basically evened out in terms of strategic strength. So Silver still has a rabbit advantage, and so I would say Silver is basically up a rabbit and no longer anything else. Okay, so that's an interesting move 32s by Tuks. He's rotating his elephant away from f3 defense. That's a rather strange move actually, so he's loosely threatening a Gold dog. It would take 6 steps to push the dog into c6. The problem is that Gold can push into g3 with his camel, establishing a hostage. And well, the capture threat on f3 would be much more forceful than anything Silver could have against the center dog. So really, I don't think there is anything against the dog, because Silver will have to come back to f3 defense with his elephant on the next move, and so I don't like this move 32s at all actually. So now on move 33g, well, there are a few options for Gold, but the simplest option is to hostage the Silver horse into g2 and threaten capture into f3, and that would be already pretty strong. So in the chat room, Mega Jester is suggesting a round of applause for Fritzlein. So yeah, hooray Fritzlein! Nice defense, nice camel maneuver, and indeed he's managed to come back in this game. That's just a rabbit. He's just a rabbit down, which is, well, still not great, but that's definitely a game that we have right now. And Silver is actually losing more time with this dog threat, center dog threat. Okay, so that's I'm kind of surprised by this move 23g. Gold is not hostaging the horse, but rather pulling the horse into g4, so that's some kind of hostage basket. But still, in the long run, I don't see what Gold is going to do with that horse. Is Gold going to just pass up against, well, to just not take the horse hostage and maybe flip the horse away? That would be very strange. Although the horse hostage would not have been a very strong horse hostage because of Silver's advanced rabbit, which would help. But this is a strange move. In any case, Silver has to move his elephants back to e3, and he does so. So that's some kind of loss of tempo by Silver, but still he managed to advance the cat. So maybe he was hoping actually to advance the cat to e2. Maybe that was why he played his previous move, liking the cat on e2. That's a bit awkward to have an advanced cat, but in some cases it can help. And actually, Gold has no piece in the center to deal with this cat. He has a dog in the center, but on d4, a little bit far away from the e2 square. And the other strong pieces are along the g file and the h file. And so this silver cat on e2 is rather is not too threatened for the moment, and maybe in the future it's going to help with a pull and occupy maneuver, for example, against the f2 cat. It's going to help regaining control over f3. And so I think we have Adanac back. So Greg, do you have? Can you see the game now?
Yeah, I can see the game, but it'll take me a while to figure out what I missed here. I missed a lot, so yeah, it took me a long time to get back into this Arimaa.com website. But yeah, so it looks like Gold's got his pieces strategically positioned to freeze Silver. So no, I guess you'll have to continue while I'm taking a look at the board.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. So yeah, indeed, Gold has made back some of his disadvantage. I still don't know why he didn't hostage the horse into g2, re-establishing control over f3 right away, freeing the Gold elephant to be able to do something around f6 or maybe in the center. So now Gold has to think about this dog on d4. Silver might just threaten the dog with his own horse on the next move. So it's not easy for Gold to re-establish a firm control over f3. I really don't see what he's hoping to do with his g5 camel. And so he's just advancing a horse into c4 on move 35g. I don't know, the obvious move would have been to advance the horse towards b6 to at least take control over c6 if need be. And Tuks is gaining back some reserve time on move 34s by hostaging the horse on g7. That looks very nice, especially since the Gold elephant is not free from the defensive duty around f3, since Gold doesn't have the camel into g3, and so the f6 threat is very strong. I don't know whether Gold is going to defend f6 with his camel, and that's what he does. But it doesn't look right to defend f6 with the camel and f3 with the elephant rather than doing it the other way around. So Fritz is building back some reserve time on 35g, but actually the position is looking better once again for Silver. Gold's position seems very precarious. So what about 35s pushing the Gold dog into d5 to make a capture threat on c6 and a capture threat on f6, and then something else, and Gold would be very hard pressed to defend against all the capture threats. So what do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I was thinking first of just pushing, maybe using the horse to go from e4 to c6 and then pulling the Gold dog to d5. I guess he did that a little differently. I was thinking of he did what I was thinking of, I guess what everybody was thinking of, opening a lane so that the Gold camel on f5 would be exposed to capture. But I kind of like the idea of keeping the Silver horse in a safer location, but I guess it's a very similar idea either way.
Yeah, and so with the spare steps, he has advanced a horse into g4, which seems very logical, since Gold's only option to regain control over f3 without the elephant would be to push into g3 with the dog. getting back 2 p squares on f2 and g3.